tons of waste goes into oceans. That's the equivalent of 5 bags full of waste stacked on top of each other and covering every foot of coastline in the world. That much is going in every year. And 6 out of 10 of the most commonly found items in the oceans are fully recyclable. So we need to start recycling more, and we need to recycle right to get these valuable materials back to the manufacturers to use and to keep them out of oceans and waterways. But let's face it, recycling's confusing. We have a solution, and it's working.
The standardized labels help people recycle more, and they help people recycle right. Let's recycle across America, and let's recycle right.
To learn more about this solution and how to recycle right to protect our oceans and waterways, visit letsrecycleright.org.
Your exclusive home for Auburn Tiger football. Powered by Pepsi. WGSX Linate in Panama City. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. It's time for Fan Friday. And now, here's the fellows.
Find a ladder, kid! Make yourself famous! Go with it!
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
That makes you want to jump out of your shell right there. We ain't no turtle. We're a hare around this way. The rabbit always gets the bread, right? We'll find out this weekend. Got a lot of teams running fast. Not towards the finish line because we just got started in this season, but we've got some big games that are going to make or break the season. You're right here with the Afternoon Underdogs, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. As always, call or text us, 850-215-6290. Got a great show ahead of you today. We've got a big-time guest. All right, it's Fan Friday. We're going to keep that thing rolling. We've got Wright State Chris in the building with us. Wright State Chris, tell me who your college football team is.
The Cincinnati Bearcats.
And we've got a big-time guest on with us today, Jim Kelly Jr., who's the Cincinnati color analyst. He's been with them for almost 45 years as a student athlete, a broadcaster, and ambassador. He led the Bearcats in receiving each year from 1973 to 1975. He's also...
my years, man. That's
there you go.
my years.
I thought your years were a little earlier than that.
Well, I'm being generous.
5:15, we're going to be talking with Leanne Herring, who's the director of recruiting at the Rebel Walk, senior editor for Main Event Sports, and she's also a content writer for the NFL. We've got some big games to break down. So we're going to be getting into college football week 5. NFL Week 4. Cannot wait for any of your questions and concerns or comments. 850-215-6290. It's also a big, big day / night from last night. If you're a fan of the Atlanta Braves, we got it done. The magic number is 0. We are the National League East champions. As Blooper, our mascot, likes to put it, the National League Beast of the East. Man, what a night last night. What a performance from Ian Anderson. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes. Couple of headlines from today. Before we get to that, trivia. Got a great question for trivia today. You give us a call, 850-215-6290. We'll get you on there. It'll be your chance to win $25 to Rudy's and $25 to That Boot Store. And it has to do with old school's favorite coach, Nick Saban, and the evil empire. So basically, it's going to boil down to which 2 quarterbacks since 2009, Alabama's won 6 championships, 6 other teams, or 6 other programs, 6 other champions have been, right? There's been 6 other champions. Clemson doing it twice. You had 4 of those quarterbacks for those teams go as number 1 picks. 2 of the quarterbacks were not number 1 overall draft picks. Who are those quarterbacks? You give us a call, 850-215-6290 for your chance to win $25 to Rudy's and $25 to not the, but That Boot Store. Derek Stingley Jr. is going to be out for LSU against Auburn. That is a big-time development. We knew that he was dealing with some injuries, but for him not to go in this game it's going to be big time, and that opens up the door for either TJ Finley or Bo Nix, who at this point in time, we don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Tigers of Auburn, but this is going to be a big-time showdown, 8 o'clock, Death Valley, and where is this game going to be on the air at, old school?
Right here on ESPN 104.3 Northwest Florida.
Your boy Bryson DeChambeau has advanced to the final group at the Long Drive World Championships. The Philadelphia 76ers are having some drama with Ben Simmons. They're withholding $8.25 million owed to Ben Simmons with his holdout right now. So what's going to happen? They're not paying that money, 25% of his contract that he was owed Friday. They placed that money into an escrow account. Moving forward, the 76ers will deduct any fines that Simmons accrues as the season progresses. If or when Simmons shows up, he will be given the money that is remaining in it. The next line and this saga is going to start Monday. The 76ers play their first preseason game in Toronto against the Raptors. If Simmons doesn't return to the team before that game, he's going to be fined roughly $227,000. That's the same number that Simmons will be fined for every game that he misses going forward. That's a lot of money. We're not even talking about the taxes that's going to come out of that $8.25 million, and he's already starting to lose, if he doesn't get to that game, $250,000 basically at a time. These are some figures, right? Oh, man, I would hate to be in that position, right? No, I'd be right there ready to go get my $8.25 million and then tell them, hey, I'll sit on the bench for you guys. I don't mind. Trade me, if that's what you guys want to do. So there's a lot of things. There was the Philadelphia 76ers, in a sense, brought this upon themselves by putting these rumors out early on when at the end of the season saying, they're trying to make a move for Ben Simmons, which is their right. But why would a player, it's almost like Wayne Gretzky. We were talking about this yesterday. He got to the sit down with his team right before they actually, they had an out of the trade if they wanted to. But he was like, you guys are already wanting to trade me. What's going to be the difference in a couple of months? Or if someone comes with $20 million, are you going to give me the choice then? So Ben Simmons here, I'm not saying that he's in the right, but you got to think from his perspective. I mean, this team doesn't even want me. Why would I show up? But get your money, man.
I mean, that's a lot of money to walk off and leave. He and his agent say that they are prepared to do that. That's easy to say in advance, but man, that's a lot of money to just walk away from. I realize he's young and he's probably can make it up at some point. I don't know how you make up that much money, but still, I understand. He feels like they don't want him there. It was pretty blatant last year, at the end of the playoffs where they lost. They asked the coach, can you win with him? And he was like, I'm not sure. Not a definitive answer there. Not what Doc should have said. And then he tries to walk it back the next day. And, Embiid has come out and said, they've different players have said things. It's a ugly, ugly situation, but sometimes money talks, and eventually, after he has a few of those $250,000 fines, he may think about it a little bit differently.
Yeah, a couple of those $250,000 fines. We'll find out, and we've got a lot. Well, we don't got a long time before the season starts. We're right around the corner from it. We'll see how all that plays out, though, in Philadelphia. Adam Wainwright and the St. Louis Cardinals reach a one-year deal for 2022. More than likely could be his last season, right along with Yachty. So the Cardinals are going to have a very emphatic season next year as far as things that they'll do for Wainwright, but especially for Yadier Molina. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson returned to practice. He missed 2 practices in a row. We're looking at that back. How's it going to work out? He's got a big game coming up this weekend against the Broncos, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight end Rob Gronkowski and their linebacker Jason Pierre-Paul are going to be game-time decisions Sunday, as will the Bears starting quarterback position. So we'll see. Who do you think, Wright State Chris, that Nagy's going to go with this week?
After last game, it's difficult. You got one guy who they're not confident throwing down the field, and you got another guy who doesn't necessarily know all of the offense just yet. But I don't feel like who are they playing this week? The Bears.
Oh, the Bears got the Lions.
All right. I don't think the Lions' pass rush is as bad as Myles Garrett and the Browns. So
I'll give you that.
I would agree with that.
I feel like you can develop Fields a little bit more in this game, and I realize the coach and the GM, they want to win now, and the fans want to win now, but, moving forward and down the road, you want Fields to be your quarterback. You want to get him, and I don't feel like Fields is the type of guy that's going to lose confidence if he starts losing a little bit. I feel like, you saw what he did in college and everything, and the amount of throws he can make. You need to give him the game time experience, especially against someone like the Lions.
No doubt about it. Let's get to the National League beast, the Atlanta Braves. They got the 5-3 win over the Phillies last night. Jorge Soler got it started with a bang. I mean, this kid has just been absolutely impressive. We got a good outing from Ian Anderson, picking the over and under on the strikeouts. We were a little high on that. He only came out with 2 strikeouts, but he still did get 6 innings pitched, only gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 of those earned as well, walked 3 people, and gave up a home run as well. What'd you see from the Braves last night in that clinching performance?
Well, I saw a team that came out very focused. Soler leads off the game with a mammoth shot, 465 feet. It was both of the outfielders never moved.
Didn't even look.
I mean, they just kind of turned and watched it fly. There was never a question of whether that ball was gone or not. And they just, every time that the Braves would score another couple of runs, they relaxed a little bit more. They began to celebrate a little bit more. And then whenever they hit the 2-run home run, McCutchen hit the 2-run home run, everybody kind of went, oh, okay, let's finish this thing out. I was just glad to see him get it done. I mean, the most impressive part for me is, the Phillies had gotten within a game and a half. And they come to Atlanta with 2.5 games. It's a doable situation for them. Bryce Harper goes 0 for 11. A guy that is being touted as the MVP, 0 for 11 with multiple strikeouts. And they just took it to him. The Phillies they never had a lead. They never felt comfortable like they had a chance to win the game. Probably the first game they felt like they had a chance, but after that, the Braves just put it on them, and it was an impressive thing. The Braves, in my opinion, this is probably their greatest in the last 5 years. I mean, to win it 4 times in a row, but to do it with all that they went through this year, with Soroka going down early with the Achilles and not being able to come back. Acuna getting hurt, Marcell Ozuna having.
Which you didn't even hear nothing on the Braves broadcast last night, or any of the players bring up that, I can understand completely, not even touching on that situation.
They're not going to touch that, but it was just an impressive performance, and to the fact that we had a losing record for so long until after the All-Star game, and then to charge out. There was a great comment by the radio. Joe Simpson last night said he was talking to a friend of his that's in the broadcast booths for other teams, and he said, that has it ever happened where the MVP of the team is the general manager?
The general manager.
Because in this case, that might very well be the case. I mean, the moves that they made at the trade deadline, just impressive and massive.
He's got to be executive of the year.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's exactly what I was thinking. He's got to be executive of the year.
I mean, he pulled off some things that, and when you look at it, when you just take those names collectively, Duvall, Peterson, Rosario, Soler, nothing really jumps out off the page to you. Mm-hmm. But the way that they performed, the players that he gave up to get what he got, and then you look at all of them combined, 40-plus home runs, hitting for a really good average. Double-A did his thing to get him in the position. And especially when you lose a guy like Ronald Acuna. Now, here's the thing. You lose Acuna in August or September, I don't think you can bounce back from that because you've been riding his energy for so long. But to lose him at the point that they did and bounce back, that was huge, man. What a game. What a season.
It's just been a heck of a season. I'm excited about getting into the playoffs. I'm looking, everybody has been on Snit this year for his managing of the bullpen, but it's really still pretty darn impressive to hold that team upright and keep them afloat until they got the outfielders and made the trades there at the trade deadline. And then after that, it was, okay, let's ride. And they have. It's been a very impressive. That nucleus there of Freeman, Ozzie, Swanson, Riley coming on this year. That infield is phenomenal.
Oh, it is. And we're talking about their offense, but 6 errors on the left side of the infield for Riley and for Swanson. That's absolutely impressive and
but
overlooked.
Also, we forget that Darno was gone for
60 games, bare minimum
in there. with a broken or dislocated thumb or whatever it was. So, I mean, what did we go through? 7 different pitchers? 7 different catchers during that time period, trying to just hold it together, trying to get something, and to the point when d'Arnaud came back. So quite an impressive run for the Braves.
Well, you know what else was impressive last night? That Jaguars-Bengals game. Just the game. Let's forget about, Joe Burrow and the comeback and everything, which you got to be excited if you're a Bengals fan. But I think that if you're a Jaguars fan, there's something else for you to be excited about, too. And also, Trevor Lawrence looked a lot better. James Robinson, toting the rock. They lose DJ Chark. Also, that holding call on 3rd and 1 last night, the Jaguars should have got the ball back. Neither here nor there, essentially, but I'm tired of seeing plays
off the ball
getting called and determining the outcome of a game.
Yeah, that's the part that bothered me, was that it was off the ball. It was not really in any way having an effect on where the ball was going. It was just ticky-tack. And you just hate seeing penalties like that control the outcome of the game or possibly have a huge impact on the outcome of the game.
How much losing do you think Urban can take in a year?
Well, he was already describing last night's as heartbreak, and his head was spinning. I don't know how much more he can deal with. I do think that the Jaguars are better than what we're giving them credit for, not just based off of last night's game, but off the Cardinals game and this game. It's like they're one of those teams, and this is how you can kind of tell that they're almost going to break out of that shell. But when teams play to their competition, it's a bad thing, especially if you're a good team. But if you're not so good of a team and you can hang in with the big dogs, but then when you play against teams that you possibly should beat, i.e. the Houston Texans, things get exposed.
But, there was some impressive plays last night by Lawrence. The move that he made there at the end zone to get in, that guy's an athlete. And then the throw there at the end to the wide receiver on the left sideline. Unbelievable.
Chenault, I believe.
Yeah, unbelievable toe tap there to get both feet down. But, man, that...
Oh, no, that was Jamal Agnew.
And
the kid who ran the kickoff back when Matt Prater tried the 68.
Unbelievable catch and a really nice big-time quarterback throw there.
All right, 850-215-6290 is the number to call. Blue Sky Car Wash is where you need to go. Go get that car cleaned off nice and shiny. We'll be right back with Beat the Underdog. So if you're ready to play, go ahead and give us a call.
Weather forecast overnight, mostly clear skies, upper 60s and low 70s, and light southeast winds. Checking out the weekend, it'll be partly sunny to mostly sunny at times Saturday and Sunday. About a 30% coverage of showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. And it looks like those temperatures will range from 82 to 88. Southeast winds over the weekend about 10-12 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf is 82. Have a great and safe weekend. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Coach James Hale Show, weekday mornings from 7 till 9.
The Mighty Crimson Tide.
Big one Saturday, Alabama, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, who you could arguably say changed the trajectory of Alabama football, returns to Tuscaloosa. Classic SEC matchup. Alabama has historically held the upper hand. There's a lot at stake. Saban's 23-0 against his former assistant.
If they go to Alabama, I'll be happy.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fansville, a college football utopia.
Fansville.
Where the lakes are stocked with ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Where the night sky is tinted with the amber glow of burning couches.
Majestic.
Where rivalries run deep and bandwagoning is a third-degree felony. It's a land flowing with nacho cheese and spicy mustard, where every dispute is settled by coin toss.
Tails never fails.
Every backside is calloused from years of bleacher sitting.
Buns of steel.
And every fan, regardless of race, creed, or alma mater, deserves the rich flavor of Dr. Pepper.
Delicious.
These are loyal folk who stay true to their coach through thick and thin.
Mostly thick.
Who lift their Dr. Peppers high and proudly proclaim, "This is our year," even though it probably isn't.
But maybe it is.
Return to glory this season with Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
The one fans deserve.
Grab some today.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
For a smart take and in-depth interviews, it's the Dan Patrick Show, weekday morning starting at 9.
Yes, good.
Now back to Fan Friday. Smart take and in-depth interviews. Live from the Slim Chicken Studio, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back in. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Call or text anytime throughout the show, 850-215-6290. And remember to listen to win some cash. You got to listen for the code word. We've got them going at 8:45, 12:45, and 4:45 p.m. You take that code word, go to the website, espnpc.com, or right with our home, ESPN Northwest Florida, the app. Enter that code word for your chance to win $1,000 cash. Now it's time to play. Beat the Underdogs. Give us a call at the number 850-215-6290 for these three games. These are what we're going to be picking: Arkansas and Georgia, Ole Miss and Alabama, and then take it to the NFL, the Panthers and the Cowboys. So if you think you've got the three winners this week, give us a call, and we'll do the tiebreaker for the closest to the points for game one. Right, State Chris, you're going to be a part of the Underdogs today, so let's get into it. This is these are some
we're not doing points or
we're not going to pick any over-unders or anything like that, but we will pick the points for Arkansas-Georgia game
so
for the tiebreaker.
The spread on
not the spread.
No
spread. These are going to be head up.
Straight up. We're
talking about top 10 teams here. Ole Miss a little bit outside of the top 10, but we're going to keep it straight up. Arkansas and Georgia. Right, State Chris, who do you like to win this game?
You know, I think not exposed, but I think Arkansas doesn't have the firepower to keep up, especially with Georgia's defense. I've seen Georgia's defense a couple different times now, and I've got to go with Georgia on this one. Not because of old school or anything.
So I guess at that point, old school, you're going to take Georgia, right?
I'm taking Georgia.
So we're going to agree to go with Georgia to win this game. Now, we have a segment later on at 5 o'clock where if we feel differently, we can talk about it there. But right now, it's beat the Underdogs, and we've got to agree on it. So we're going to go with Georgia to take care of Arkansas. Now, old school, Ole Miss, Alabama. High-flying offense with Ole Miss. Alabama's offense, pretty good, not too shabby itself. Who do you like in this ball game? Can Lane Kiffin be that first assistant to take down the former boss?
This is going to be much closer than what people think it's going to be. I think that Ole Miss is going to take it to them. I think they're going to score a ton of points, and it's going to be up to the quarterback for Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
If he has a couple of turnovers, throws the ball to the wrong guy a couple of times, that Ole Miss can beat them. But until you beat the big dog, they're still the big dog. I say we stay with Alabama.
I was watching some of that. One of the games with Chad Jackson, I believe. Man, that doesn't sound right when I'm saying it, but when Ole Miss beat Alabama, one of the times before Chad Kelly, that's it right there. He was some type of kin to Jim Kelly, his nephew. There was one play in that particular game. These are the type of bounces that you got to have when beating Alabama, unless you're Clemson in the national championship and whoop them 44-16. He had two defenders on him, and by the time they get to him, he's throwing the ball up. It hits an Alabama defender, tips it off to a Ole Miss wide receiver, and then I believe it was Elijah Moore at the time catching it and taking it to the end zone. Those are the type of bounces that you got to have, the Johnny Manziel-ish type of plays. But I'm right there with you. Until it happens, especially in a year like this, you got to roll with the tide. Now let's go to the NFL. Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott. Who do we like to win this game? Not Sam Darnold or Dak Prescott. Obviously, it's a team game. But who do you like? And let's start it off with you, Wright State, Chris.
Where's the game at?
It's going to be in Dallas. Jerry Jones' world.
I personally, I'm not a fan of the Cowboys or the Panthers, but I like what I've seen from Dak so far. I like the way that offense is going. CeeDee Lamb is the real deal, just from looking at fantasy numbers. But I got to go with the Cowboys in this, and I'd love to hear what you guys say.
Old school?
This is a Cowboys stomping. I know Matt Rule is, he's a heck of a coach, but Carolina, they lost their, I think that the guy that's the key to their whole offense is McCaffrey, and he's not going to be in. Sam Darnold, he's having a better year than what I thought, but I just really like what, this is hard for me to say. I really like what Dan Quinn is doing on that defensive side of the ball, and their defense is completely different. It's 180 degrees from where it was last year. They're fast. They're hitting. They're playing solid defensive backfield. I think the Cowboys are going to put it to them pretty good.
They took the right first-round draft pick.
Yes, they did. Micah Parsons is a stud.
He's looked really good. I think some of the rookie rankings that I've seen to this point have him number 2, number 1, and some of them as well. So we're going to go with Dallas. I'm still in between on that game, so I'll give more of my thoughts on that one at 5:30. Now let's get into that Arkansas-Georgia game and pick the points for that one. I really see this being a closer game than what people do expect. And I like Georgia to come away with a 4-point winner, so a 17-13 type of a ball game. So if we're picking with the spread, I would take Arkansas. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people imagine. 17-13 is what I like, but what are we going to boil it down to, boys?
I think that UGA, the Bulldogs, I think they will. Yesterday when we were talking to the guy from Arkansas, our expert on the Arkansas, he was
Curtis Wilkerson.
Yes, Curtis, and he was talking about, the different attitude, how they play for, they have a lot of confidence. They're playing for their coach, and I think that that's going to go a long way. They're playing in Athens, and that's a tough place to beat Georgia. I think that they will give Georgia a hard test for the first half, and in the fourth quarter, Georgia's going to pull away. I see it as a 10-point game going Georgia.
I can't disagree with that. After watching Georgia play, a lot of the players that played in the Peach Bowl last year are starting for Georgia this year. Watching the way they played against the Bearcats last year,
they were very lucky to beat the Bearcats last year.
It was a good game, and you can definitely tell that Georgia had studs, all the way around. So I got to go with old school. It's going to be a 7 to 10 point game at the end. I'm going to go. Let's go 30-20. That sounds about right.
30-20. Sound good to you?
That's good by me.
All right, 30-20 is where we're going to have it land. Let's get into some high school football games going on tonight. Let's start with Pensacola and Arnold Gavlax Stadium tonight at 7 o'clock. Pensacola Catholic's going to be taking on Mobile Christian. Milton and Booker T. Washington are going to be going at it. Godby taking on West Florida in West Florida. All of these games starting at 7. How about Pace and Tate if you're over there in the Pensacola area? That'll be a big one. Baker, we were talking about their running back a little bit earlier, taking on Lighthouse PCA. Mosley is visiting Choctawhatchee. They're going to be playing at 7 o'clock as well. Crestview and Niceville in the top 25 of Florida State high school football. North Bay Haven and the Buccaneers taking on Bay in Tommy Oliver. Bay will be the home team. Vernon and Bozeman are going at it tonight. That should be a very interesting game over there in Southport in Bozeman. Rutherford's visiting Walton tonight. Bluntstown taking on Holmes County in Holmes County. Freeport will be taking on the Gators of Weewaw in Weewaw tonight. South Walton and Mariana are going to be having a good old-fashioned contest at the Bulldogs house in Mariana. And then finally Liberty County and North Side Methodist. So we've got some good games going on tonight. High school football, get out there and support your local athletes. Virginia last night was in a tight one with Miami. Miami had a chance to do what the Bengals did and win the game on a field goal, but it fell short. Virginia gets the win over Miami 30-28. Not too many yards in this game. I really didn't watch this game. I had the Braves. Honestly, I was watching more of the Braves game last night than I was the NFL Thursday night football game, just because of all that's been happening. Yeah, it's a lot more important. It's one of those games that this is
4 years in a row,
is it.
that's big.
It is, especially with the way that this one played out, like Old School was saying earlier. So Virginia, is this another one of those instances of a team, talking about Miami here, when you start off with Alabama, do they essentially ruin your season? I mean, when was the last time that a team opened up with Alabama that went on and had a good rest of the season? I mean, 2017 FSU, it seems like they're still suffering from that loss.
USC.
When
the USC,
it's like not even your season. We
just killed the whole program basically.
I remember like 10 years ago they played Michigan and it was just downhill from there.
I mean, it's just so tough to play Alabama the first game of the year. To me, last night when I was watching that, in Manny Diaz as the head coach at Miami, I was like, it's just another nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it was.
All right. We've got Jim Kelly Jr. about to join us. If you want to know more about that Cincinnati-Notre Dame game, you better stay tuned. This is going to be a big one affecting all of college football.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your chance to win cold hard cash. It's the Grand Slam of Cash.
$1,000 in cash. Wow.
2 ways to win this national contest. Listen weekdays at 8:45, 12:45, and 4:45 for a new code word. When you hear it, enter the code word at ESPNPC.com or use the new ESPN Northwest Florida app to play the Grand Slam of Cash.
Hi, I'm Tracy, your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Shopping for the perfect diamond can be difficult, but that's why I've trained my staff to be helpful and to offer you a stress-free diamond experience. Pick your sparkle and use our easy layaway plan. Every woman deserves an exquisite diamond from your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We don't work on commissions.
We work for smiles and I-dos.
So if you're tired of high-pressure salespeople, stop by and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
At Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our goal is to prevent pests from entering your home. Our Inside Out Pest Prevention Program is built to treat the problem outside before it's ever a problem inside. It's like an invisible barrier around your home. Although quarterly treatments are generally administered outside, if there's any problem inside, just give us a call and a Brock technician is on the way. Our Pest Prevention Program is not just limited to the every 3-month service. Brock's here for you anytime there's a problem, inside or out. Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting your family since 1968.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the Shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Live from the Slim Chicken Studio, it's Old School.
He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
Now back to Fan Fridays.
I like to dress wildflowers.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. It's time to listen and win some cash. Listen for the code word 8:45 a.m., 12:45 p.m., 4:45 p.m. as well. Then go to the website, ESPNPC.com, or the ESPN Northwest Florida app. Enter the code word for your chance to win $1,000 cash. Now, welcoming in to the Slim Chicken Studio, we've got Jim Kelly Jr. He's the Cincinnati Bearcats color analyst. Been with them for almost 45 years as a student athlete. Not only that, but he led the Bearcats in receiving every year from 1973 to 1975. Jim, what's going on? How are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing great. I cannot believe I'm, talking in the heart of SEC and ACC country about Midwest football. But I got to tell you, I am thrilled that I'm doing that, and I appreciate you guys asking me.
Thank you so much for joining us, and it's an honor to be able to talk to you and to be able to talk about these Bearcats who have really been gaining notoriety over the years in all of the college football world. And this is a type of game where Heisman moments are made. Speaking of that, what do we need to see from Dennis Ritter to keep him in those Heisman talks? Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, he is clearly he's a fourth-year senior starter, and he could have gone to the NFL last year. They predicted it was a second or third round draft choice. He opted to come back one more time. The Bearcats, of course, went 9-0 in a COVID-shortened regular season last year and lost to Georgia in the Peach Bowl on a last-second field goal. And it just didn't sit right with him, so he decided to come back for one more year, which he was able to do. He's done a great job so far this year in the 3 games that the Bearcats have won. Not been overly impressive in reference to his statistics. His completion percentage is in the high 60s. He would like to be in the low 70s. I think he's right around 250 yards per game. Done a really nice job touchdown-wise and touchdown to interception ratio. So he's got a ways to go if we're talking Heisman, because that's so much about the numbers. But the fact of the matter is, this guy, since he took over against UCLA in the Rose Bowl in 2018, he's 24 and I think 4 as a starter. Throw in the UCLA game that he didn't start, so he's 25 and 4, and that's quite an impressive record, for a guy who wasn't even recruited by a lot of Division I schools. He was ironically recruited by a guy by the name of Zach Taylor, who is the head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals now, who was the offensive coordinator at Cincinnati at the time, and it was kind of an afterthought that he would come to Cincinnati, and the rest is history. He's had a really good career, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes in reference to the Heisman hunt. There's a whole lot of other people, and as you said, this is a type of game that can make or break a Heisman candidate, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, Jim, one of the things I wanted to ask you was, the Bearcats have played on the big-time stage a couple of times last year in the Sugar Bowl. They were so impressive with pushing Georgia the way that they did. But this time they're going to South Bend. They're going to where they're going to be looking up at Touchdown Jesus and all of this stuff. So what does Coach Fickell need to – what's he working on, or what's the message that he's giving his team this week, preparing him for that type of environment?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, particularly last year where – even when you went on the road, it was limited crowds because of COVID, so you didn't have those sellout crowds and hysterical crowds. Didn't have it at home either, so it was a different year. And their first road game was 2 weeks ago. They had a bye week this past weekend, and 2 weeks ago at Indiana. And, it got to them a little bit, quite honestly. At least it looked that way. And so he has prepared them big time. The one thing that Coach Fickell does extremely well is get these guys ready to play. So they were over at Notre Dame Stadium today. They saw Touchdown Jesus. They saw the Golden Dome, all the things that, the Newt Rockne statue, all the things that Notre Dame is known for. And he is trying to get into their head to let them know that, hey, look, we're going to have a hostile crowd, 80,000. Most of the folks are going to be rooting against you. And you're going to have to get that out of your head. And I quite honestly, once the ball's kicked and, the game starts, all that hype is gone, but you still have to perform. So it's going to be a challenge, no doubt about it, but they have the talent. If they play, the way that they're capable of playing, then they have the opportunity to win this game, but they're going to have to do it. And they're not going to be able to make a lot of mistakes. They got off to a slow start against Indiana. They were down 14-0, came back and won by 14. But I don't think they can afford to do that tomorrow. If they do, they're going to be in trouble.
Hey, Jim, this is Chris here. First of all, thank you very much for helping us out today. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Chris. Anytime.
And so with Brian Kelly and Marcus Freeman both being a part of the Cincinnati coaching, what do you admire about Brian Kelly and Marcus Freeman as coaches?
Yeah, so both of them very incredible coaches, in my opinion. I had the opportunity to work with, Brian, as I am with Luke Fickell right now, when he was here from 2007 through 2009. Great guy to work with, always, gave me access to anything I needed. he was just a joy to be around. And he was one of those guys, and you guys are around sports a lot. You see it. He's got the, as they like to call it, the it factor. You don't know what it is. You can't necessarily put your finger on it, but he's a winner. And he's proved that here at Notre Dame, as he is now the all-time winning coach in Notre Dame history, surpassing Newt Rockne. And he was a great guy. Now, he was an offensive X and O guy, and he made that happen so well. Let's turn to the other side of the football and Chris bring up Marcus Freeman, who you mentioned. I saw the 2017 Cincinnati team, which was Luke Fickell's first year, and he inherited from Coach Tommy Tuberville, who had left. Not a lot of talent, but some guys that really wanted to play, but it was going to take a while to get them to be cohesive. And the Bearcats went 4-8 that year. Not good. They were really at times, not good at all on the field. But Luke Fickell turned them around, and the biggest thing he was able to do to turn them around, or the biggest side of the ball that I saw turn around, was the defensive side of the ball, and that was Marcus Freeman. Marcus played at Ohio State. He's an Ohio guy. He's from outside of Dayton, Ohio, real close to where you grew up. He went to Huber Heights, Wayne, and he's an incredible football player, got his career cut short in the NFL through injuries, and then went on to a number of different positions, GA at Ohio State, and he was a defensive coordinator at Purdue, but it was not a very good Purdue team, so he got let go. Coach Fickell picked him up immediately, and the rest is history. He will be a great head coach somewhere someday. One of the reasons that he left Cincinnati has to do with Notre Dame. And Notre Dame has a tendency and a kind of a history of taking coordinators and not allowing them, but getting them to the next level as a head coach. Where that'll be, I certainly have no idea. But he's just absolutely great at figuring out what to do to stop you offensively. And on his staff also is a guy by the name of Mike Mickens, who's defensive. He's a cornerback coach. Mike played at Cincinnati, is the career leader in interceptions. Mike was the cornerback coach at Cincinnati under Marcus Freeman and Luke Fickell, and then Notre Dame. Brian Kelly knew how good he was and hired him away as well. So there's a lot of symmetries there in reference to that Cincinnati staff back in 2007, 2008, 2009, as well as ties to the Luke Fickell staff as well. So it's really interesting, all the parallels and different things that are involved with these two staffs and these two football teams that are now rated, depending on which poll you go by, 7 and 8 in the country or 8 and 9 in the country.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're talking to the Cincinnati Bearcats color analyst, Jim Kelly Jr. Jim, what do you think the Bearcats can use in this game from their win against in their win against Indiana?
Yeah, I think the thing, as I stated before, they cannot afford to come out slow like they did against Indiana. And, you always question, okay, was that the plays that were called or was the way the players were playing? And I don't have an answer for you on that. But I think you're going to see Cincinnati be very creative offensively and do some things that Notre Dame does not expect them to do. Defensively, no question, Notre Dame likes to run the football. It seems that they are up in the air on their quarterback situation due to a couple of things, injury as well as you've got a senior transfer, Jack Cohen from Wisconsin, who, number one, is a little bit dinged up, and number two is a little bit slower, in reference to his foot speed. And you've got a young freshman who came in and played for him last week against Wisconsin, did a pretty good job. So I think they're going to do things to try to confuse whichever quarterback that is. Cohen will certainly be calm in there, and he'll be the guy that and he'll be able to run the offense. But they're going to try to do some different things on both sides of the football to confuse Notre Dame. And I think their goal is truly to get, not necessarily they don't have to be up, but you want a tie score going into halftime. And the Bearcats so far this year have been extremely strong in the second half.
Hey, Jim, I got a couple of quick hitters for you. One, when Nick Saban was at the Dolphins, there was rumors that Terry Saban went to Tuscaloosa. Has there been any Amy Fickell sightings in Los Angeles?
Yeah, so that comes up all the time. And the thing about Luke Fickell is he is number one, he's an Ohio guy. He was a graduate assistant at Ohio State after he got released in the NFL. He then went 1 year to University of Akron, where he was a defensive line coach, and then he was hired back by Ohio State right away, and he's been there ever since until he came to Cincinnati. There is something about the kind of the Midwest that really he likes. He's a tremendous family man. He's a father of 6. He has 2 sets of twins. He's extremely, I won't say religious, but very spiritual. And he grew up that way, and he's raising his family that way, and he likes Cincinnati, and his wife Amy likes Cincinnati. Now, that being said, would he leave? Sure, for the right job. And there are a couple of them out there that are very obvious, and one of them we're talking about right now. If Brian Kelly would opt to go to the NFL or take another college job, Luke Fickell, I'm going to guess, would take Notre Dame job. Certainly, he had a run when Jim Tressel was forced to resign. Luke Fickell was named the interim coach. They had a rough year that year. They went 6-6. He was kind of relieved of his duties, and Urban Meyer was brought on as the head coach. Luke Fickell stayed on that staff, but Luke Fickell's a different head coach right now than he was back when that happened. And I think, obviously, if Ryan Day chose to go to the NFL or another college job, that would certainly be one that Luke Fickell would jump at. There's probably a few others, and I don't want to speculate on that, but they'd primarily be Big Ten type jobs, and it wouldn't be, no disrespect to Illinois or Northwestern or Indiana. It would be, the big ones. It won't be Michigan because, that rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan. And he was offered the Michigan State job last year and turned it down. So there's a few jobs out there. I don't think it'll be on the West Coast, even though the athletic director at Southern Cal right now is a guy named Mike Bone. Mike Bone hired Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. Mike Bone was the AD at Cincinnati at the time. So there's select jobs out there, no doubt about it. And at the right time, he may opt to make a move, but I don't know where that would be and when that would be. And Cincinnati just got admitted into the Big 12. So that, kind of puts him in that Power 5 combination, of different conferences. And that's going to help their recruiting big time as well as their budget. So that being said, he's going to get offers this year, no doubt about it. Will he move, and will he make a move to another school? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, Jim, just real quickly, we're almost out of time. I'd like to get your opinion on what type of game plan Cincinnati is going to come into this with. Because their quarterback is so talented, throwing the ball as well as running the ball. Do you think that Coach Fickell is going to focus on a balanced attack or more ground and pound and trying to shorten the game, or do you think he'll just air it out and let them see what happens?
Yeah. Well, so Notre Dame's got a seasoned defense. So I look for them to try to run the ball successfully they've got a very good, I know you guys, one of you guys, and I don't remember which one, is a big Alabama fan, but they got a tailback, a starter by the name of Jerome Ford.
Yes, sir.
He was at Alabama a few years back, and he's done a really good job this year. So I look for them to try to pound Jerome Ford. And the thing that happens when Ford is having a little bit of success, that's when Ritter can pull the ball out and use his feet because he's a very gifted runner. Mm-hmm. They've limited him this year because they don't want to get him hurt. But at the same time, he can run the football. And if they're able to run the football with Ford as well as Ritter, they're going to be tremendously successful. And what that'll do is open up the short passing game or the passing game across the middle. And quite honestly, they've got 2 very good tight ends. They've got Josh Wiley at 6'6", 245, and they've got Lenny Taylor at 6'5", 255. 2 big targets across the middle. So that will allow them to do those crossing routes and that short passing game if they're able to run. So I think you're going to see them try to run the ball initially, and if they're successful with that, their offense is going to move the ball.
Well, Jim, go Bearcats. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Really thank you for coming on and giving us some of your time ahead of this big-time ball game. And I'm really hoping that Cincinnati can pull this out so we don't have to see Notre Dame in the playoff and their usual result in the playoff.
Well, the playoffs was 4 teams, and you guys have seen it all. And Notre Dame's got an uphill climb, and quite honestly, as much as I love the Bearcats, they've got an even more uphill climb. But if they're able to knock off Notre Dame at Notre Dame tomorrow, certainly is a huge step for them up the ladder.
Well, we're pulling for them, that's for sure.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
Wear red. Go Bearcats.
Appreciate the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. That was
Thank you,
Jim Kelly Jr. He's the color analyst for Cincinnati. What a pull right there. And I got to give a lot of credit to Wright State Chris and his dad for pulling that in for us. Good stuff right here on the Afternoon Underdogs. And tonight, you get to hear the Mets and the Braves, the National League East champion.
4 times. 4 times in a row.
4 times in a row. Taking on the Mets tonight. Pre-game 6 o'clock. First pitch, 6:20.
Weather forecast overnight, mostly clear skies, upper 60s and low 70s, and light southeast winds. Checking out the weekend, it'll be partly sunny to mostly sunny at times Saturday and Sunday. About a 30% coverage of showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. And it looks like those temperatures will range from 82 to 88. Southeast winds over the weekend about 10-12 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf is 82. Have a great and safe weekend. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Right now is your chance to win in the Grand Slam of Cash. Your code word is
contest.
Enter the code word at ESPNPC.com or play on the ESPN Northwest Florida app. 2 ways to play this national contest.
$1,000 in cash, oh man.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready for the best pizza in Bay County? It's Paparazzi Gourmet Deli with over 100 years of recipes passed down through 4 generations. Paparazzi Gourmet specializes in New York and authentic Italian-American specialties from the deli, prepared foods, and of course, pizza. They even cater for all occasions. Click paparazzigourmetdeli.com to check out their daily specials. Come taste the difference at Paparazzi Gourmet Deli, Thomas Drive next to Goodwill on Panama City Beach. Call 850-588-8244 for fast pickup and DoorDash.
Kings by Blood Cleaners is your go-to for the cleaning of your office, home, or condo. Ready to remodel? Let Kings by Blood Cleaners do the demo work for you. Clean up or clean out commercial, foreclosure of homes, apartment complexes, and commercial buildings. Contact Kings by Blood Cleaners for a local, no-obligation free estimate. Kings by Blood Cleaners offer 7 days a week service so that it's convenient for you. They do things the way your grandmammy used to do it. Call Kings by Blood Cleaners, 850-704-8470.
Have you ever thought about flying an airplane? It's not as difficult as you may think. Simply call Island Air Express. They are a family-oriented flight school who cares about the student pilot progression and more of a one-on-one flight training school. Island Air Express can help you celebrate your birthday by taking you on a birthday flight. Let Island Air Express show you the world from a different view by taking you and your family across beautiful Panama City Beach. Call Island Air Express at 850-814-6407 or visit their website at islandairexpress.com.
Damsel in Defense presents Defend Your Stance. Got an opinion? Time to defend it. Here's David in Old School on Fan Friday on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends.
Green Day, wake up. Wake up. It's October 1st, and we are officially in the best month for sports of all time, October. We're getting ready for NBA. Sportstober, exactly. I don't know why I call it October. What am I thinking, Old School?
I don't know, man.
I don't know either, but this is Defend Your Stance, sponsored by Emerald Coast Damsel, Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense. Don't forget about our trivia question. 6 teams not coached by Nick Saban have won the college football national championship since 2009. 4 of the 6 quarterbacks went number 1 overall. Name the 2 quarterbacks who did not. Name the 2 quarterbacks who didn't.
These are quarterbacks who won the national championship but did not go number 1 in the NFL draft.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Suck eyes.
there is a hint for one of them, and you also have, the other 4 guys, highly touted quarterbacks as well. One of them's somewhat of a surprise that he didn't go number 1 overall, and the other one, didn't really pan out too well. So go ahead and give us a call, 850-215-6290. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. So last night I kind of got I was watching the kickers, and then I saw a tweet today by Mina Kimes, and she was talking about when a team is on a drive for the go-ahead drive, the game-winning drive, and the kickers are on the sideline. You know, they're setting the ball up, kicking it into the net. What's going through the kicker's head at that point? Do you think that they're hoping that the team scores the touchdown to alleviate the pressure off of them, or do you think that the competitive mind takes over and they're like, give me the ball? What do you think, old school?
I think they are sitting there going, go offense, go, go, score. They want to kick an extra point. That's what they want to kick.
Yeah, right.
You know, the thing about kickers, I feel bad for kickers because they're pretty much ostracized from their team. They're not really treated as part of the team unless they make the big kick.
Right.
The rest of the time, they're off by themselves. You know, their practice is different than everybody else's. They're over there on a side field kicking and doing whatever, and then, okay, it's time for a big time kick. Let's turn to this guy that we had to order special shoulder pads for because he's so small. So I think that they would much rather be kicking an extra point and not be kicking the winning field goal.
What you think, Right State Chris?
I think just like in basketball with the last shot, there are a select few that want the ball in their hands. Justin Tucker,
right.
Obviously. I forget the guy's name.
Where did Justin Tucker go to school?
Oklahoma?
No, the University of Texas.
I'll be honest with you, 100% transparent right now. I don't even remember that.
No.
Yes, he did.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you by any means. I'm saying I had no idea, no recollection.
And then also I forget the dude's name, but he was with the Patriots and then with the Colts.
Oh, Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah, Vinatieri, yes. And then and I believe Sebastian Janikowski would definitely want the ball on his foot. But then more often than not, they want the offense to win it. You know, they don't want, because when you kick the ball in the air, anything fluky can happen.
We've seen it. I mean, you got the side winds going, particularly if you're playing in certain stadiums where the wind is so ferocious. So, and it's
they
just
could block it.
There's so many bad things that can happen.
Yeah.
Real quick, we got Jim on the line. He says he's got an answer for the trivia question. Jim, what's the answer? 6 teams not coached by Nick Saban have won the College Football National Championship since 2009. 4 of the 6 quarterbacks went number 1 overall. Name the 2 who did not go number 1 overall.
Cardell Jones and Deshaun Watson.
100%. Hey, Jim, stick on the line for me so I can get some information from you.
Very good, very good. That was not an easy trivia there. I mean, when you asked me today, I was like,
what?
What are you talking about?
And the other guys who did win and went number 1 overall, Trevor Lawrence, Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, and Joe Burrow. Big-time names right there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are big-time names. I mean, those are...
none of them Alabama.
That's correct. None of those played for the evil empire of Alabama. But they all had just stellar collegiate careers. They all, took their team. And, it's interesting how, you take Cam Newton, he wins the national championship at Auburn. And then 2 years later, his head coach there is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, so that just tells you what an impact he had on that program.
Yeah.
And then, Joe Burrow goes to Ohio State. Can't really get it done at Ohio State.
Didn't fit in with the type of offense they were trying to run.
Yeah, it just wasn't right for him. He goes down to LSU. They bring, Brady in, who's loves that spread style offense. And man, it might be the greatest the collegiate offense ever.
It's nice when you got Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson to throw to as well.
He did have some targets to throw to. But, it's just really impressive. And then Jameis Winston. I mean, look what he did at Florida State. And he couldn't even see. He had bad eyesight or something. But, it's impressive what he did.
It really is. And let's talk about someone who has to be impressive this week. Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, both out for the Tennessee Titans. They were pretty much out for the entirety of the game against the Colts if you were watching that game. Over or under 117.5 rushing yards for Derrick Henry this week. And you got to think, right, it is a lot. And he's leading the league in rushing yards right now and attempts. But you got to think the Jets have the ability in this game to put 9 in the box. So does he touch this number? Is he over or under 117.5 rushing yards? Let's start with Wright State Chris and work our way to old school.
Full disclosure, he was my first overall draft pick in one of my fantasy leagues, so I hope the over. I'm thinking with my heart. But, I don't think the Jets can score points. I don't know if the Titans want to slow the game down at all, but I would just keep on feeding it to Henry over and over and over again until they can stop him. I just don't think that the Jets can score points. So I more think it's the Jets' ineptitude more so than the Titans' offense. I think that Derrick Henry's going to get the rock a lot and just keep on pounding it because he's not going to have any turnovers.
I like it. Old school?
Well, I believe that despite the fact that they're missing Julio Jones and Hollywood Brown, they still have other wide receivers they can throw to. And those guys I think they get a check as well. So they're professionals. And I just think that you don't want, anytime, the more you, despite the fact that it's Derrick Henry, the more you lean on somebody this early in the season and, and he's having to carry the ball
80 times to this point.
Yeah. That in the long run, that's not good for your ball club. And I think that Tannehill and he's going to find some other wide receivers to throw to. So I believe that he's going to push up against the 117. I think he's going to be more like it 97, 96. But I can't see him riding him that hard to get him all the way up to 117.
Especially against the Jets. It's one of those teams, right? If you get a 14-point lead or something, would you think about possibly,
taking him out?
Yeah, take Henry out, save some of your money, save some of your carries on him, and see how your defense does. But then, again, you know how the NFL is. There's no such thing as a real bad team in the NFL. They're all professionals. So that is something to watch. If Zach Wilson comes out and has a career type of a day, who knows what could be happening here. So that's going to be funny. I'll say that Derrick Henry goes over in this, but I do think that that's somewhat of a biased prediction there. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes. We got old school Wright State Chris in the building here on Fan Friday. Take a short break, get right back to breaking down the games of Week 5 for college football.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Your Atlanta Braves are 2021 division champs. Tonight, the final series of the season brings a National League East rival to Truist Park as the Braves take on the New York Mets to close out the season.
Sponsored locally by Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, Store More Portable Buildings, Little Bird Kia, LS Agency Insurance, Reliable Copy Products, and 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey, cheesy, crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously. But as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The original J. Michael's Restaurant on Thomas Drive, Panama City Beach, serving Bay County visitors from the U.S., Canada, and the world over since 1976. A little Southern and a little Creole with a lot of hospitality. Come enjoy J. Michael's seafood platter, the best gumbo on the beach, red beans and rice, the world-famous spaghetti on Wednesday. 3210 Thomas Drive, J. Michael's Restaurant. Truck.
Your exclusive home for Auburn Tiger football. Powered by Pepsi. WGSX Haven, Panama City. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Certified Gearhead Motorsports on Panama City Beach, directly across from Pete Edwards Field. Certified Gearhead Motorsports offers full synthetic oil changes for just $30 plus tax. Diesel synthetic oil changes only $85 plus tax. Certified Gearhead Motorsports. They do it all, from oil changes to engine overhauls. Call now for an appointment, 850-532-8783. Let them work up an estimate or quote of the repairs that you need. Call now, 850-532-8783.
Live from the Slim Chicken Studio. It's old school.
It's in the hole. He's a Cinderella boy.
Now back to Fan Friday.
It's in the hole.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, welcome back into the Slim Chicken Studio. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is the second hour of the Afternoon Underdogs, getting ready to head into the weekend. Leanne Herring joining us next, talking about the Ole Miss Rebels and that matchup, that big-time matchup coming up with the Alabama Crimson Tide. But let's talk about some of the games that we care about. We've already kind of discussed a little bit of Arkansas and Georgia. If JT Daniels can get this offense moving in the right direction, I don't think that Arkansas is even going to stick within 14 points, but he's dealing with that lat injury, dealing with the core injury of the oblique, like we learned yesterday from J.C. Shelton. So there's a lot of factors heading into this game. Because it's between the hedges, that's really where I find the upper hand for Georgia. If KJ Jefferson comes in that game, though, and dictates the pace that it's played at, which if it's a slow pace, I think that benefits a defensive team like Georgia a little bit more. But at the same time, if they can get the runs going and get the options going, if he can have any passes like he did last week against Texas A&M, 80-yard touchdown passes, we'll have to see. I like Georgia in this game at this point in time, but I would not be surprised at all to see that Sam Pittman embodiment of the players kind of just taking on their coach and pulling out a sneaky W here.
I mean, that's it's
a lot of ifs.
That's a lot of ifs there. I mean, I think that it's impressive what Arkansas has done. I think we all have to tip our cap to them because Sam Pittman has just done a heck of a job. But, I mean, this is a big task. Going into Athens, game day there, everything, it's just a big ask of Arkansas. Georgia's defense is fast, it's big, it's physical, and it's everything that Sam Pittman doesn't want it to be.
Right.
It's like the old Belichick thing, take away what they do best. And I think that's what Georgia is going to do to Arkansas, is they're going to take away what Arkansas wants to do and make them become to where the kid has to throw the ball. And then we get to see whether or not, Georgia's defensive backs, which are pretty darn good, can hold up to it. So I think that this is going to be a physical, grinded out type of game, but I think Georgia will wear them down and then pull away, as I mentioned earlier.
Quick aside, on the same staff at Cincinnati in the 90s, John Harbaugh, Sam Pittman, and Rex Ryan were all on the same staff.
Wow.
That's a heck of a staff.
Yeah, obviously they're not there anymore. But anyways, I'm going to be real interested to see what Georgia can do on offense. I know against Clemson they were without some players, and, that was a very slugfest right there. It wasn't the most appealing game to watch. So I'm real interested to see what Georgia can do on offense against Arkansas. But, if Georgia can control the ball, make Arkansas kind of one-dimensional, I feel like Georgia can pull away late, like we were saying earlier.
Let's get into Auburn, LSU. We'll be talking about Ole Miss and Alabama coming up here in the next segment. Auburn and LSU, this is going to be a big game for the SEC. Maybe not for the champion right now, but LSU got the win against Mississippi State, but really hasn't looked hot to this point in the season. And Coach O is still kind of riding on that hot seat. Auburn almost lost last week, lost in Happy Valley. So this is a big game for them to not get too far behind the ball at this point in time. Missing Derek Stingley is going to be tough for LSU to overcome here. Bo Nix or TJ Finley? This is our last opportunity to really talk about who the starting quarterback is going to be. Do you have any hope for Bo Nix to be the starter in this game?
No.
So we're all going TJ Finley. There's what you got, old school.
I think Bo Nix starts with a very short hook. I mean, really short. If it doesn't go well in the first quarter, we'll see TJ Finley.
I just feel like if he knows that's going to happen, like that's bad for. I mean, he already has a bad mental as it is, but I just feel like if he's got a short leash, he's going to know going into it that he's got a short leash, and you're just giving up drives at that point. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying I feel like it's just difficult to put a quarterback in that situation, especially one like Nix who's been embattled the entire time that he's been there.
I don't think that Coach Harsin will sit him down and say, "Hey, listen, you're going to start, but first sign of trouble, I'm going to yank you out." He's going to say, "Okay, man, go get him." But in the back of his mind, he knows first time I see trouble, I'm going to put the other guy in. I think the honeymoon is over for Coach Harsin. He had all of the drama that happened this week. He fired the receivers coach. All of this stuff is brewed up, and you saw how intense he was in his press conference, where he was. The pressure is mounting, and I think that this is a big time game for his program and to move forward. And he's catching LSU in a situation with Stingley being out. That's a blessing. But he's the boys have to step up and play, and I don't think that Harsin is going to let Bo Nix lead them down a path where they don't perform as they should. I think he'll make a change.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, 850-215-6290. Who's the winner of this game? Old school.
Auburn.
Rice State.
I feel like LSU underneath the lights is something special. And I'm going to go with LSU, especially this is the first night game they've had, since COVID. So,
ooh, you made me think about something there because
good point.
I'm riding with Auburn to this point, but when you say that, there is something special about being under the lights, man. Death Valley, and it's going to be dark. We're talking about 8 o'clock is the game start time.
The voodoo will be running rampant.
I still don't think that LSU is as good as what we think. I don't think Auburn is as good as what we think either. But I'm going to go with Auburn in this game because of the spark from last week. They were in a trap game and worked it out. LSU, on the other hand, scraped by a Mississippi State team, probably better than what Georgia State is.
I don't know.
It's going to be a tough one. This one's going to be a lot closer than what people think. Let's go to your team, though. Let's talk about Cincinnati and Notre Dame and what you think, from your perspective, is going to happen in this ball game.
Well, Cincinnati's defense is very good. They have a first-round draft pick or early second-round draft pick in Sauce Gardner as a cornerback. They also have a defensive end in Njai Sanders that is very good as well. And I just feel like that with the way that Notre Dame's been playing on offense, that it's going to be very difficult for Notre Dame to move the ball. There's going to be a couple home runs hit, but I really feel like that if Cincinnati can control the line, which, Notre Dame's defense is very good, but I feel like Cincinnati's got better weapons as of right now. I feel like Cincinnati can win. It's definitely going to be a close one. I hear there's going to be rain in the forecast, so maybe they're not throwing the ball as much, but I'm thinking it's going to be like a 23-20 type of game. That's what it's feeling like. But this is huge. This is Cincinnati's biggest game in the regular season ever. And it's nothing, it's I'm not trying to build it up too much, but it's not about the playoffs. It's about, this is the first time in the regular season that they're a top 10 team, and they're playing a top 10 team since probably ever. There might be something way back in the day that I don't know about, but this is huge. And I hope the players realize that it's a big game, but don't shy away from it. Don't build it up so much that they're anxious and nervous to come out. It's a huge atmosphere. This is what you're playing for. Midday at Notre Dame. I've been to Notre Dame a couple times. It's awesome there. But, the crowd's going to be loud. But at the same time, if things start going south for Notre Dame, that crowd can turn in a hurry. They're not going to be cheering the whole time if they start going down. So, wear red, and also any Florida State fans out there that want a team to cheer for, here's my invitation. Come on down to Cincinnati. I'm not hoping for the playoff. I'm just hoping for an undefeated season, just showing the rest of the nation, that we are a valid team and we're very good, and you guys can root for us and appreciate the type of football we play.
Yeah, a little bit of rain in the forecast, like you mentioned, but Cincinnati being a 2-point favorite here on the road, that's some good news. Old School, what are you thinking about this game?
I think Cincinnati is going to have the upset of the year. I think Cincinnati is going to go in there. Luke Fickell is a good coach, and that quarterback is talented. He is extraordinarily talented. And, Notre Dame, in my opinion, I've stated it before, I believe they are overrated. And they have a quarterback issue, and I just don't see them being able to. I think Cincinnati's defense is strong enough to hold Notre Dame, but I think Ritter is going to have a couple of special plays. He's going to break a couple. I think he's going to break a couple of runs, and then when he does, the safeties are going to pull up when he's running, and he's going to have a chance to get over the top on him. So I'm going to take Cincinnati by 3.
If Cincinnati gets that run game going with Jerome Ford, like Jim Kelly Jr. was talking about earlier, Notre Dame is giving up about 81.5 yards rushing per game. If they can get over that threshold, that number right there, that bodes very well for the Bearcats because you're not going to be able to contain Ritter for the whole game. He's either going to get away with some big runs, like Old School saying, with his legs, or he's going to make things happen through the air, especially with those big tight ends that he's got. And I'm with Old School on this. I just don't think that Notre Dame, they had a big-looking win against Wisconsin. Yeah. Right? No, if you look at the score, if you didn't watch the game, it looked like they blew them out. But that didn't happen till the fourth quarter on a couple of, Mertz is trying to make things happen, and it doesn't work out. Coming up next, we've got Leanne Herring. She's getting ready to talk about the Rebels, and Alabama will get a little, and she wants to give her takes on Auburn, LSU, UK, Florida, and Arkansas, Georgia, so you don't want to miss that. Sunday Night Football, one of the biggest regular season games of all time, is going to be right here on our air, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm talking about the Bucks and the Patriots. We're going to be right back with Leanne Herring.
Weather forecast overnight, mostly clear skies, upper 60s and low 70s, and light southeast winds. Checking out the weekend, it will be partly sunny to mostly sunny at times Saturday and Sunday. About a 30% coverage of showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. And it looks like those temperatures will range from 82 to 88. Southeast winds over the weekend about 10-12 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf is 82. Have a great and safe weekend. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
It's time to kick off savings on the purchase of a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Take a test drive today and find out why everyone is talking about the award-winning Kia. Purchase a new 2021 Kia Rio and get $500 cash back. Or purchase a new 2021 Kia Forte and get $750 cash back. It's peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer, Bill Bird Kia, is not only the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty, they're the home of the best customer experience anywhere. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. We make buying a car easy, and you'll enjoy the way we do business.
Cashback offer from KMA on the purchase of a new 2021 Kia Rio or 2021 Kia Forte for well-qualified buyers cannot be combined with the finance or lease offers from KMF. See dealer for complete program details. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 10/4/21.
You wake up late, rush through your shower, run out to the car, and the garage door won't open. Oh! Don't let this be you. Get your garage door service today. At All About Garage Doors, we offer 24/7 service at no extra charge. Call us today for our single torsion spring replacement for $199 or our double torsion spring replacement for $299, both with a 2-year parts and labor warranty. Call All About Garage Doors, 850-842-9188. Veteran owned and operated.
3, 2, 1. Live from the Slim Chicken Studio. The very best afternoon sports talk show we could find on our budget.
Inexplicable success story.
It's Fan Friday. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Phone number to call is 850-215-6290, 850-215-6290. You can call or text. Right now, we've got Leanne Herring on the line with us, Director of Recruiting for the Rebel Walk. You can find them on Twitter at The Rebel Walk. Senior Editor for Main Event Sports at ME Sports on Twitter, and she's also a content writer for the NFL. Leanne, welcome into the Slim Chicken Studio. How's it going?
Going good. Gearing up for a big weekend in college football. You know, we had some action the last couple nights, but I think it's going to be, obviously everyone's waiting for a huge Saturday that's coming up, and definitely going to be a separation Saturday for upcoming and everything.
So what do the Rebels need to do to make Lane Kiffin the first assistant to take down the former boss in Nick Saban?
Well, it's going to come down to, everyone obviously is going to talk about the position matchup between Corral and Bryce Young, and very well so. But I think right here what we're really going to see as far as Ole Miss is concerned is this really could be the preview of the SEC West Division Championship. Arkansas has been having a heck of a run, and of course, they're going to have a big game this weekend. But what it's going to come down to Ole Miss for me is like I said, it's going to come down to field position with this one, especially. For Bama, they can't afford to get into the shootout. While they have a strong quarterback in Bryce Young, that offensive line has really had a lot of inconsistencies, and this could be a weakness that the Rebel defense, who's on the rise, could easily expose. And another thing, that the Ole Miss Rebels are going to have to do is continue to not do those turnovers. That was a huge difference in last year's game with Corral. This year he comes in stronger arm. He's doing really well in his percentage, his completion percentage. But the one key thing that killed Ole Miss, last season was the turnovers, and they've definitely helped that problem. And they're really going to have to go heavy on the run. We talk about Ole Miss and the strong passing game that Lane Kiffin and offensive coordinator Jeff Levy love to run. But what really I think has made the difference for this Rebels is going to be key on this game, especially going against this Alabama defense early to wear them out, is the run game, and specifically talking about 3 powerhouse running backs for the Ole Miss Rebels in Jaron Ely, Snoop Conner, and Harry Parrish Jr., which have been doing fantastic well in their numbers. And I think that's a 3-headed monster right there that is going to be a secret weapon and match those up, like I said, with the wide receivers in Drummond and Mingo. The Rebels are going to push this run game, and I think that's going to be really consistent in this really key in this game.
Health-wise, are there any injuries that the Rebels are dealing with heading into this game, or are they in good shape?
I mean, I haven't gone the up to date report as of today with the traveling and everything. But right now, it seems as there's no major injuries or anything that it seems that's going to really affect the offense or defense that I've heard of. Like I said, on the depth charts and anything, especially. So I think that the Rebels are going to come in healthy. And obviously, there was they had a lot of momentum into those 3 games coming off a bye week. How is that going to help them play? But they're going to be well rested, and they're definitely going to need it going up against, Alabama and what Nick Saban's going to put on the board on not just offense and defense.
Hey, Leanne, how are you doing today?
Doing good.
All right. So who has been the guy this year at wide receiver position? In a sense, the new Elijah Moore, A.J. Brown, or DK Metcalf?
I think, like I said, I mentioned it briefly right here. I think that you kind of have to split it between Drummond and Mingo. Both of those kids at the wide receiver position have really done phenomenal job for opening up Corral in that backfield. So, I have to say that there hasn't really been one that's done out between those two because they're really a dynamic duo in that backfield, Drummond and Mingo in a lot of different ways. So I think that they've really closed the gap, after losing, those kind of wide receivers, which are an intricate part of the offense that, the Rebels do run that makes them a powerhouse.
You're listening
Kind of offense.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, talking to Leanne Herring, Director of Recruiting for the Rebel Walk. Lane Kiffin, to this point, has been aggressive in the season on fourth down, converting 12 of 14 times. Do you think that we'll see that continue this week?
I think that definitely we are going to see continue this week because that's another key that's going to be in this game is how many drives are going to end in points. Is it going to determine who's going to be the early leader in this game? And I think we will see Coach Kiffin go for it, but they're also going to have to be careful because in those third and fourth downs, from the last games that they've played on third downs, they've gone 16 for 41. They've got, and then on their fourth downs, they've made 12 out of 14 and definitely had a higher success rate. But they also can't afford to make those small mistakes that we've also seen in some of these games with the penalties going on those third and fourth downs. So I think we'll see Kiffin definitely push and go hard and take advantage of those points because I think that that's going to be key in this game because you're going to always want to, end these drives when you're playing Alabama. You're going to want to force them to score. And I can see, and Coach Kiffin's definitely going to go for those fourth downs. But once again, they're going to have to be really tight and intricate on these penalties in order not to be able to do this.
Leanne, what are your thoughts on some of these other big games around the SEC this weekend? We got Arkansas at UGA. What's your thoughts about the Hogs versus the Bulldogs? Leanne? Whoop. I think we might have lost her.
All right. Well, while we're waiting on a call back, or I'll call her back shortly here in a second, that Kentucky-Florida game, which has sometimes been a tough matchup for Florida. They always get the win, but
why is that? Why do you think it's always? I mean, it has been a tough game for Florida. Why is it that Kentucky gives Florida such a hard time?
Is it the defense? I mean,
I don't know. Is it because of Stoops? Is it the name Stoops? I mean,
or is it the lack of with Grantham and what he does and maybe not preparing to the full, which I can't. It's hard to put that on a coach, saying that he didn't prepare to the fullest capabilities of the team that he brought forward. But it is odd that they struggle with him sometimes. But Kentucky, that game with South Carolina didn't look too impressive. But can they change? Can they change things up when they're going into a big-time game against the Florida Gators? And then also, how much are we going to see of Anthony Richardson compared to Emory Jones? Emory Jones in that offense looked really good against Alabama, moving the ball steadily. But since then, in the next game, Tennessee, they brought some more of Anthony Richardson out, which bodes well for Florida if they end up beating Georgia and make it to the national championship. That gives them or not national championship, the SEC championship to take on Alabama. It gives them another wrinkle in their offense that Alabama didn't get to see before, and the only preparation they'll have at that point is just film.
It's, to me, it's just interesting. A lot of people have been talking. National pundits have been saying that, Kentucky is really, Stoops is building a program there at Kentucky. His recruiting is getting better and better. His facilities have gotten better. But at some point, I've heard it for the last 3 years about how Kentucky is building and they're building, but at some point they got to break through and win. They got to break through and win a game that in the past has haunted them. They've got to beat a Georgia. They got to beat a Florida. They got to beat somebody that's been the leaders in the SEC. And I just haven't seen them do that. And I'm not sure that this is the year, but it's sooner or later, if Stoops is going to continue that reign there at UK, he needs a signature win.
First off, Stoops is going to be at Kentucky as long as he wants to be there. Kentucky's just happy that they have a football coach that actually wants to build a program there. But like you guys talked about having success against Florida, when you're building a program and you have a lot of the same guys in, if you've had success against a team before, you're going to have the confidence going into that game that you're going to be able to hang with them, even if you go down by a couple of scores. Haven't had that success against Georgia. As soon as you go down by a couple of scores, that game can get out of hand quickly because the belief is gone immediately. So it's about, previous success against the team. And maybe Florida looks past them. Maybe Florida goes a little vanilla when they should be having those wrinkles in there to be able to take care of the game. So, I feel like it's a psyche thing and it's also a game plan thing.
Well, let's go to the ACC. Did you have something else on that? Let's go to the ACC where we're looking at kind of the top dogs right now. Louisville and Wake Forest.
Whoa, what?
I mean, right?
You said top dogs of the ACC?
At this point in time, right?
No way if Wake Forest goes undefeated, they go in the playoff, right? I mean, come on. I'm the only one that thinks that.
No way.
I'm right there with you. I don't think there's any way, even if they go undefeated, just because of where. If Clemson was still dominant, then yeah, sure. And you see a Wake Forest versus Clemson game, and Wake Forest beats Clemson, and that's the only loss that they had in the ACC at that point. But if Wake Forest were to beat Clemson, that would be 3 losses for Clemson, which does not bode well for Wake Forest. Now, it would also depend on what happens with the SEC, how many undefeated teams are coming out of that. But with Wake Forest and Louisville right here, Wake Forest being number 24 in the nation, coming in at 4-0, averaging 38.8 points per game. They've got wins over Virginia, FSU, and then their other 2 games, nothing to write home about. Louisville over FSU, UCF, Eastern Kentucky, and then a loss to Ole Miss 43-24. So that kind of shows already where the ACC is as far as right now. I like Wake Forest in this game, though, and here's why. Wake Forest dominated FSU from the start of the game to the end of the game, whereas Louisville dominated them for the first half, and then in the second half, they didn't score a point. FSU had them where they wanted them, essentially, and almost came back in that game. I like Wake Forest big. How do you guys feel about this game? I know it's nothing huge, but hey, we're still kind of in ACC country, and it's odd that Wake Forest is the leader of the ACC right now.
Well, we definitely are in ACC country, and it's just amazing to me that we're now looking at Wake Forest as potentially one of the stronger teams in the ACC. But they have been impressive this year. I mean, no one expected Wake Forest to score the way that they've been scoring. Their offense has looked very proficient, even against Ole Miss. I mean, they scored a ton of points. It's just that, Kiffin got him a couple of times with some big plays. So Wake Forest, I would be surprised if Wake Forest did not win this game. So I would be picking them.
Who is your favorite for the ACC at this point in time?
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest.
I've never met the man, but I'm gonna go with Boston College just for Boston Tim.
Ooh, Boston Tim is sitting at 4-0. They're 0-0 in the conference.
They are. But it's just Wake Forest has been. They have been impressive this year. They have exceeded anybody's expectations, and they, as you mentioned, Chris, they're starting to believe. And whenever you get a team that starts to believe, they start playing better. And right now, they are 100% belief that they can be competitive and be a winner.
Let's talk about our Noles a little bit. Florida State and Syracuse. Syracuse is going to be heading into this game at 3-1. Haven't played a game inside of the ACC conference yet. Does Florida State, what do they have to do to get a win in this game besides the obvious answer, score more points? But do you think that Florida State could take down Syracuse? And as far as my favorite for the ACC, I'm going to say North Carolina State at this point.
Yeah, you're right. I would switch over to North Carolina State. But I think the key for Florida State is to just not shoot themselves in the foot constantly. The offsides, all these pre-snap penalties, all these lack of discipline around the line of scrimmage. Because, they do have talent. Their running backs are good. They can run the ball. They at times have looked good in the passing game. But they just keep shooting themselves in the foot constantly. And defensively, they have breakdowns in the defensive backfield, and then the guys running wide open. They just have to play better, and they just have to go out there and compete and concentrate and focus. And I think they should beat Syracuse.
you said that they have some talent, but they don't have the talent to overcome not playing winning football.
That's correct.
And you got to have some of those guys that are able to do something on their own to change a game if you're not going to play winning football. So, like old school said, don't have the offsides penalties. Don't make the first down longer than it should be. Don't give up the long plays. Make them grind it out. Make them, because Syracuse, they've had some close calls. They almost beat Clemson a couple of years ago, and I know that they got a good coach, but make them drive the length of the field. Don't let them give up the big play, because that's so easy for another team to get momentum with big plays. Like 2 weeks ago when Cincy was playing Indiana got to the 2-yard line and Cincy caused a fumble. Head on the ball, knocked it out. Make them drive the entire field. And don't give up the easy touchdown. And
don't convert first downs for them.
Yeah.
Through a penalty. It just drives me crazy. You make a good defensive play, but somebody off the ball holds, or there's a mistake made, and then you give them a first down when you actually should be getting off the field.
It would be huge for Florida State to be able to take down Syracuse in this game. If the offensive line can protect Mackenzie Milton, then maybe we can see 2 wins on the year from the Florida State Seminoles. If they can get past UMass, that's going to be a big contest. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida here with the Afternoon Underdogs. Mets at Braves tonight. 6:20 following the Afternoon Underdogs.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the NFL.
Unbelievable!
We bring you the biggest games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night.
Touchdown!
Your every bone-crushing hit right here. The NFL is brought to you locally by Certified Gearhead and Motorsports, home of the $30 synthetic oil change across from Pete Edwards Field.
He did what?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Got chronic joint pain, not having success with steroids, but you're trying to avoid surgery? Well, thankfully, there's a better way, and it's now available here from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics, now open in Panama City. Hi, this is Coach James Hale here. I'm talking about new therapies, advanced all-natural regenerative treatment that can not only just give you relief, but can also restore and repair damaged tissues so you can have lasting relief. If you've got joint pain due to arthritis, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, you need to learn more about these new biological therapy solutions. QC Kinetics, 850-270-3939. These remarkable new treatments increase mobility, decrease the pain, and help restore tissues. They actually encourage your body to heal itself. Call now, learn more about these regenerative, restorative, and revolutionary alternatives. QC Kinetics, 850-270-3939, 850-270-3939.
Hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to go with your hot dog. Because when you're chomping on America's favorite meal, relish, mustard, and onions perfectly blending into a crescendo of flavor, there's only one thing that makes everything about that moment better. A cold, refreshing Pepsi. See what I mean? It's like music to my ears. Hot dogs. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
They're just a small band of desperados terrorizing the panhandle.
Happy trails to you.
It's Fan Friday, sponsored by Bo's Meat and Two. Live from the Slim Chicken Studio, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, welcome back in. You're listening to the Underdogs right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Let's get into some NFL games of the weeks, and let's start with these NFC West games. The Cardinals and the Rams. And the Rams looked so impressive against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. A lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people in the media saying this is the most complete football team. And Kyler Murray and the Cardinals have looked really good to this point as well. Right there, Chris, what do you see between this matchup? Do you think that the Cardinals can go 4-0 before the Rams do?
Man, that's a good question. I like Kyler Murray to throw a wrench in whatever Aaron Donald and the defensive line are trying to do, and I think there's going to be a lot of wrinkles to try to use their pass rush against them. Maybe it's a screen, screen game. Maybe it's some designed runs or getting them out scrambling. But as we've seen before, what was Nick Saban's Achilles heel, mobile quarterback, and we've seen Kyler Murray's able to utilize his wide receivers well and do everything. So I'd like to see the Cardinals win. I feel like that NFC West is amazing this year. It's some great football, some really good football. Who would have thought that the Seahawks are the least of the West this year? But I can't wait to see what goes on, and I really like to see the Cardinals offense go against the Rams defense.
I really like the Cardinals, but I think the Cardinals are going to be exposed this week. Kyler Murray is fun to watch, but he's just so small, and I think they're going to get exposed a little bit this weekend.
Hey, well, we left off with Leanne. Let's pick right back up with her. What are your thoughts, Leanne, on the Arkansas and Georgia game coming up this weekend?
Well, sorry about that. I guess I went and lights out a little bit early thinking we were getting ready for game day. That's going to be a really intense game. That's, like I said, it's going to be a huge separation Saturday, right before it's the primer for the SEC West matchup, in Tuscaloosa. Everyone's going to have their eyes on the Classic City. This is going to be a huge matchup for both these teams because, Arkansas is in a definite streak. The Hogs are looking to make it 5-0, and UGA is looking to bolster up in their rank. And it's really going to be a positions matchup in this game. One key interesting matchup that I'm looking forward to watching is that Arkansas running back Traylon Smith going against that stout Georgia defense. He's already led for 298 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Razorbacks. But again, it's the key for me for this game is going to stand, with the QB KJ Jefferson. I mean, he's not the most prolific passer, but he is a bruising runner, and he's been really essential for the Arkansas to get things going. And then you also have, so it's going to be interesting to see on that. For me, it's going to go back to what I've been stressing, I think, in all these games is drives ending in a score. And for Arkansas right now, they're doing a really great job of converting in on their drives. At like 55.4% is what I had. And they've really good at not committing 2 turnovers. And then you have, Georgia on the other side, drives ending with a score at like 48.6%. So for me, and they've committed 8 turnovers and forced 9. So I think, like I said, the key for this game going down in Athens, Georgia, to start off the SEC showdown is going to be the health of KJ Jefferson. He's going to have to be full force. And also, the freshman, the freshman tight end coming out for, Georgia, Brock Bowers versus, an extremely vital part in that Arkansas D, which they've really done a really good job. Got to hand it to Barry Odom for really changing this Arkansas defense around. And it's going to be huge with a linebacker, Butler Poole, being in the mix. Like I said, for Georgia, they're really going to have to get the ball running right. They were able to score really well against Vandy, but this is going to be a whole different scenario. So for me, I think Arkansas is going to pull off this upset in Georgia. I just think that they're a really hot streak right now, the way that they're gelling really well and everything. And I think that they pull up the upset on this one.
Let's go. I love that. I love the call for the upset.
Well, I mean, Leanne, I think you're very knowledgeable, but you're wrong. I think that the thing that I want to point out is that Arkansas's big win against A&M was on a neutral field. It was Jerry's World. It wasn't. They didn't go to Kyle Field and beat A&M at Kyle Field. They're walking into Between the Hedges in Athens on game day. Arkansas is going to get. I think they're going to be competitive against Georgia, but I think Georgia is going to wear them down. And it's going to be a different environment than what they had at Jerry's World.
You touched a chord, Leanne. He's a Georgia fan.
That's all. Oh, no. I usually do pick a Georgia fan. Not all of that is Georgia, not only for the Georgia Bulldogs. My kiddo's godfather, he's an Ole Miss alum, and he's also a Georgia thing. So I've already gotten some help for picking the Razorbacks to kind of come upset. I feel like it's an underdog kind of season right now. We're seeing it a lot. The balance of power shifting, especially in the SEC. We're seeing a lot. Arkansas coming out because I just think we're going through a cycle. You got programs like Ole Miss on the rise, and I think a lot. And it's going to be interesting because this is another, former coordinator, going up against, a head coach. So it's their former mentor, so it's kind of interesting to see, what Pittman's going to do. If, like I said, can he use what he learned at Georgia as an O-line coach and, traveling, being a coordinator at all, several programs, finally, getting his chance at being a head coach over at Arkansas and really changing the culture and the program around and, bringing that momentum. Can he crack the code of his former head coaching, Kirby Smart? So like you said, it's always an electric atmosphere when you go to Athens. Like I said, not only do I like it, I got to root for Georgia sometimes, and also, widespread panic. A lot of good things come out of Athens, Georgia. So I completely understand where you're coming from on that point. It's going to be a tough game. Like I said, especially with the SEC East on the line.
We've seen a lot of interviews with Lane, and he's pretty amusing, watching him. But with the local media, what does he do to keep it light? How does he make y'all laugh?
I just think for Lane, he's just who he is. He cracks jokes, he keeps it hype, and all that kind of stuff. And I think for the first time in a long time, as far as the Ole Miss relationship with local media, he's been really more open to allowing the local media to be at practices and, really kind of just involving them more and keeping them more in the loop instead of kind of like creating, at most SEC programs, you have a lot of that distance, believe it or not, between the programs when it comes to practice and stuff. But, over the off season and everything, and since he's arrived, he's just been kind of a breath of fresh air because I think realizing what he walked in during the time of COVID, kind of the state where Ole Miss was, there's just always was this dark cloud, with the NCAA, all that mess that we went through and all that transition. So he's really lightened up things. He's really changed the culture, but he's just like I said, he's just made it more accessible, not just for, like I said, the local media, but for the fans itself, and I think that it's good for the boys itself when you look at how the players are and their athletes. You got to buy into a program, and I think Lane Kiffin, along with his coaching staff that he's put together, they're all about the hype, but at the same time, I think what he's done a really good job is making football fun again. And especially for this program. And it's really translated for these athletes because they want to get up there. This is not a bunch of coaches, getting behind them and, making mistakes, not to say that there's not an intensity in that program, but I think he's kept things light and fresh. And I think that it's made his players become more productive because they want to be out for a coach like that, is bringing fun back to Oxford. And I mean, that's why they say there's a party in the SIP all the time, And like I said, I think tomorrow, hopefully, Ole Miss will be winning more than just parties. And definitely, I think everyone's hoping that this is if history was going to repeat itself, it's going to be like 2015 when Chad Kelly went out there and took over in Tuscaloosa. I think that it's kind of just that feeling and that momentum in the air.
It's going to be a big game. There's no doubt about that. Leanne, we're out of time for this segment. We'll get with you next week sometime. Thank you so much for coming on, and go Rebels tomorrow.
Yeah, hotty toddy. And like I said, even though I picked those Razorbacks, I sure hope that those Georgia Bulldogs do pull it out, though. But like I said, hotty toddy, and y'all have a good weekend, and let's get ready for some football.
There we go. Thank you so much for all of that. That was good stuff. Glad to get her back on the line. And we want to get you guys on the line. Go get the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app. Congratulations to Jeremy, Trent, Jeff, and Ethan. They all won a $25 gift card to Barbaritos, as well as an ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt for playing trivia on the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app. This week, we've got a new question and new prizes. If you haven't already, go download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app, Google Play, and the Apple Store. We're going to be right back. We're going to do a little prop bet dealing with this big game that's going to be on our air, the Patriots and the Bucks. We'll be right back.
Weather forecast overnight, mostly clear skies, upper 60s and low 70s, and light southeast winds. Checking out the weekend, it'll be partly sunny to mostly sunny at times Saturday and Sunday. About a 30% coverage of showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. And it looks like those temperatures will range from 82 to 88. Southeast winds over the weekend about 10-12 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf is 82. Have a great and safe weekend. For 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your chance to win cold hard cash. It's the Grand Slam of Cash.
$1,000 in cash. Wow.
2 ways to win this national contest. Listen weekdays at 8:45, 12:45, and 4:45 for a new code word. When you hear it, enter the code word at ESPNPC.com or use the new ESPN Northwest Florida app to play. The Grand Slam of Cash.
That Cajun Place and football. 2 words that just go together.
There's nothing better than watching sports at That Cajun Place. 60-cent wings at $5 pitches during all live games. Monday nights, Ronnie's Driver from 4 till 7. College football all day. Sundays at That Cajun Place, NFL all day. Plus music from North Shore Jazz Band. Sunday brunch from 10 till 2. That Cajun Place, 5801 Thomas Drive.
Come on to DCP and watch out for Manana Sweet Tea.
That Cajun Place and football. 2 words that just go together.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
How would you like to work in an exciting and fun industry? Gold Standard Broadcasting, one of the top broadcasting companies in the Panama City market, is looking for a dynamic sales professional. You must have business-to-business sales experience and have a positive attitude. Send your resume along with the cover letter to espnpanamacity@gmail.com. That's espnpanamacity@gmail.com. We can't wait to meet you.
He breaks it down with a unique perspective. It's Colin Cowherd, weekdays starting at noon.
It's awesome.
Now back to Fan Friday. Live from the Slim Chicken Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back in. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. We're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and we're live with you on 104.3 on your radio dial. We've got some big stuff happening here. I've already got it, old school. We are good to go. Now let's get into some of these prop bets here, headed into one of the biggest regular season games of all time. I'm talking about the Bucks and the Patriots, the return of Tom Brady to the evil empire. Let's talk about the amount of people that's going to be watching this game. Over or under 26.5 million people tune in to watch this game. What do you think, old school?
I think that it's going to be over that. I mean, this is the biggest football game other than the Super Bowl because, you know, who doesn't know the name Tom Brady? Who doesn't know the level of success that he's had at New England? And then there was so much talk about him being unhappy and that even though they have both said that the departure was amiable between them but it's still, it just can't, I mean, there's no game I think that Tom wants to win other than the Super Bowl more than this. And he's going to come into this game fired up, and I think he's going to bring a ton of eyeballs to the game.
So you're going over?
I'm going over.
All right, State Chris, what do you got?
I feel like that the storylines brought to will bring a lot of people that aren't normally football watchers to the set as well, seeing what Tom Brady's going to do, seeing the stuff before the game and everything. So I'm going to go with over as well.
And, just to add on to that is how many teams, there's 31 teams or 30 teams?
32.
32, mm-hmm. All right. So that means there's 31 fan bases that hate Tom Brady. and hated the New England Patriots for so long.
But now love Tom Brady.
Now love Tom Brady because of what he did. He went down and took a team that was not very good and led them to a Super Bowl. And this is an opportunity for the evil empire to go down. And people love seeing New England get beat because they won so much.
It might jump up to 26.5 million viewers. The highest that we've had so far is the Packers and the Niners. They got 21 million. So for the sake of that argument, I'm going to stick to the under here, even though I think it'll be very, very close. All right. Tom Brady, total passing yards in week 4, over under 305.5 yards. What do you think? Right, State Chris?
I think Bill Belichick's going to try to take away the passing game. I don't know how. I don't know who he's going to take away. He's going to take away one of his weapons, but he might have a lot of touchdown passes, but I think that the total yardage is going to be under that.
Old school?
I think Tom doesn't care about how many yards he throws for. He just wants to win.
He needs 68 to break the record.
I don't think he cares. I think he wants to beat Belichick. That's all he cares about. And he wants to win the game. So I'm going to go under, but Tampa still wins.
So you got under as well?
Yep.
I'm actually going to go over on this. The man's been throwing the heck out of the ball. I think that will continue this week. Tom Brady total passing touchdowns for week 4. Is it going to be over or under 2.5 passing touchdowns? Is he going to hit 3? I'll start this one off. I'm going to say that he's under in the passing touchdowns, and Damian Harris gets a little bit of love because the game's out of hand by the fourth quarter. Unless Bill Belichick comes in with a Bill Belichick type of a game plan for his former quarterback.
So you're saying
under.
Under
2.5. So I think he'll throw 2.
For my fantasy football team, I need him to go over that, so I'm going to go over.
There you go. Fantasy is the way of life. What you got, old school?
It's Tom Brady.
Your quarterback.
Your favorite quarterback.
My favorite quarterback now. And, Tom Brady does what Tom Brady needs to do to win. And I think he throws for 3.
That's over. All right.
Throwing a rushing touchdown.
What's going to happen on the field after the game? You've got these choices. Do Brady, Belichick hug or embrace? Brady, Belichick shake hands? Brady, Belichick shake hands and embrace? Brady, Belichick don't touch at all? Or Brady and Belichick high five only? I'm going to go with the shake hands and embrace. I think that will happen, but who knows? What do you guys think?
I've seen Tom do this move before. What do you want to consider when he puts your hand like on his shoulder right here? I've seen him do that and start pat. I saw him do that to Drew Brees. So whatever you want to call that.
So just that. I wouldn't say that's an embrace. I would say that's. I guess we could consider that a high five.
Okay, I'll go with a high five.
Old school.
I think it will be an embrace and a pat to the chest. It'll be an embrace and that, and then it will be very quick.
So we'll say embrace only for that one.
Yeah, it'll be very quick. It will not be. They will not linger out there. It will be quick and over with and done.
Yeah, talking about Bill Belichick, that's got to be right. But I'm still going to stick with mine and say that they're going to shake hands and embrace and give the people what they want. What's going to be the first thing shown during the broadcast? A video or a picture of Bledsoe being hurt, leading to Brady eventually being the quarterback or playing that evening, or a video picture of Brady no shirt at the combine? What do you think, right, State Chris?
I'll go with the Bledsoe being hurt, followed into the one where he's holding up the Lombardi trophy, like shaking his head. Like that's an iconic one that he's like, he can't believe that he just did it.
The one where he touches his head. Yeah, that's the one I think they're going to show. Because, it was. But that's what he's known for, is coming in and leading him to the promised land there at the Super Bowl, and he was shocked to have done it. I think it'll be that's what they will show.
All right, one more. What name will be said first during the broadcast? Tom Brady, Mac Jones, or Bill Belichick? Old school.
Tom Brady.
Right, State Chris?
I'm going to go with the curmudgeon. I'm going to go with Bill Belichick on this one.
So we got Tom, we got Bill. It's all about Tom Brady right now, man. I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady in this particular one. So those are your prop bets that we've got going on for Sunday night football, the Bucks and the Patriots. You can listen to that game right here, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Make sure to keep your phone by you or your computer, whichever way, but be listening to the station, 8:45 a.m., 12:45 p.m., and 4:45 p.m. Then take the code word that you'll hear at those times. Go to the website, espnpc.com, or even easier, go to the ESPN Northwest Florida app. Enter the code word for your chance to win $1,000 in cash. And then take that $1,000, get out the Blue Sky Car Wash and get that car looking brand new and shiny. We got Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Max coming at you live. Oh, no, Coach James Hale back in the building Monday. Michigan and Wisconsin, 10:30 pregame, 11 a.m. kickoff, followed by Auburn and LSU in Death Valley, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock for the kickoff there. The Mets and the Braves Sunday at 2:20, and then following that, like I said earlier, the Bucks and the Patriots. What a weekend of sports we've got for you guys. You guys have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday at 4 o'clock. This is the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagle.
Touchdown, Auburn!
From the shotgun, Nix takes the snap. Two-step drop, throws to the end zone. Robertson's got it! Touchdown, Auburn!
Tune in Saturday night as Auburn football opens SEC play in Baton Rouge with kickoff at 8 Central on your home for Auburn football.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
I'm Matt Glover with Aero Pest Service, and we are your family-owned and operated pest control company in Bay County since 1977. We can help you have a lawn that you can enjoy with your family. We can get rid of all the insects that destroy your parties. We can get rid of the weeds that give you anxiety, and we can fertilize your lawn and make sure that it's completely green and healthy, just the way you like it. Give us a call today at Aero Pest Service, 850